First reading for the budget of 25-26. Load me up there. While Mr. Nethkin is getting me loaded up, let me say a word of thank you to Ms. Isom, who will be helping me out tonight with some of the detail in the presentation of this budget, an explanation of why the numbers are different in some cases rather than others. Some of the slides are a little bit difficult to read from a distance, so I may turn around and look at the one behind me, plus I believe each of you have a copy in front of you. Now, I know I don't want to belabor the whole issue of our budget process. We've been over it. I think this will be the third time now, so I'll just kind of hit the highlights. It's something that we work on all year, including student enrollment projections that are needed, looking at the programs that we offer, making sure that they're the ones that we still want to consider, considering any new or innovative programs. And then we look at any new state mandates that are coming down the pipe. Operational considerations such as fuel and utilities are taken into consideration, and then economic growth or loss in the county that might impact our local revenue is considered. Safety improvements are considered. We've had meetings with all of the principals to determine what their needs were and what their wants were, both on the general fund or operational side as well as the capital side. So they had that kind of involvement in the development of it. All of those requests were consolidated and evaluated at the district level. Requests were reshared with the board at various times throughout the spring. And in collaboration with the county auditor and treasurer, we've done that to make sure we have a pretty good handle on what local revenue will be, any information they might have that would impact our budget. They are always great to work with. We appreciate them. And then a major piece and final piece of the puzzle is what the legislature does with funding, and particularly what they do with the teacher salary schedule. So that's a big component for us. So the majority of the budget is developed using formulas and trend data, things that are related to student enrollment, student achievement too. Some staffing is by formula, especially from the state. Supplies allocations are usually through some kind of formula, as in how many students are in this school and per dollar to that school, etc. We look at a history of our transactions to make sure there aren't any anomalies, something too high or too low, and a review of any statutory requirements that are coming down. Again, the state of the economy, reviewing contracts with folks that we have for professional services or other contracted services that we have, to make sure those are all in line. And we're always mindful of taxpayer trends and, potential recessionary times, etc. We look at federal and special revenue. We look at those from the standpoint of supplementing what we do, not supplanting. Supplanting is not provided for in many of the title programs, so we'll make sure that we're on par with that. So that brings me to the state budget, a little update on that. And this information I got actually this morning. So both chambers have added $1,500 to the state minimum teacher salary schedule, bringing the minimum for a first-year teacher to $48,500. Now, our salary schedules exceed the state minimum, as does most of the teacher salary schedules in the areas around us, the ones we are competing with. So we're not competing against the state minimum teacher salary schedule. We are competing with our colleagues in our area. Yet to be determined at the state level that's related to our school district are the state health plan. That's whether employees will see an increase in their premiums next year or not. The House and the Senate differ. The House has $89 million in the budget for that, and the Senate $105. The Senate would like to eliminate the increase for the employees, health, or the ones who are in that system. So those premiums, I'm told, have not increased for 12 years. They've been frozen, so I hope they can pull that off. They also differ a little bit on how to fund resource officers. 3.7 million in the House, 29.3 million on the Senate side. The biggest difference is not the increase in any kind of salary deal, but it's mostly being able to put a resource officer in every school in the state. Many school districts still do not have one in every school. So that's a little bit from the state. Just for staffing, and I know that slide is very hard to read, so let me tell you what it says. This is a snapshot of the employees in Cherokee County School District. And I think it's important to look at that because we are a people-intensive industry. It takes people for us to accomplish our mission. So we've got 1,258 employees right now. The certified staff make up about more than 684 of those, and I'll tell you why it's more than that in just a moment. But over 500 classroom teachers, over 55 guidance counselors and reading coaches, etc. 16 principals, 19 assistant principals, over 70 folks in special education, all certified. Our classified staff totals 492. And we can't do without bus drivers and bus monitors and nurses and SROs and you name it on down the line there. So classroom aides make up 139 of our classified employees. And then we have bookkeepers, etc. And then under classified certified staff, we have coordinators, directors, and executive directors. Both, some are certified, some are classified. We have physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, psychologists, etc., athletic directors and trainers, and then career development facilitators and transition coaches, etc. Those make up about 82 more. So all total, that's 1,258 people in the school district that are used to accomplish our mission. Budget adjustments that we've looked at, salary and benefit increases, that's about 85% of the budget this year. We've had some adjustments to the supplements and to the stipends that we pay to bring things more in line with our competition. We are continuing the implementation of our instructional coaches. We've increased security for our after-hours events. School safety has been ramped up in terms of the servers that operate with the cameras, etc., as well as additional cameras. On the cyber security end of it, we've added 3 positions to our technology department, and we've added additional software for network security. On the custodial side, we've added 4 positions. We've had increases in our utility costs as well as our transportation area. For the teacher salary schedule for 25-26, again, the state minimum increased by $1,500 per cell. The state, I believe, is also going to eliminate the category of bachelor's plus 18 hours of graduate credit. What we plan to do is grandfather the ones who are in that category now. We'll grandfather them in, but any new ones will not go into that category. They'll go from bachelor's to master's when they get their master's, assuming that that's what the state does. Our budget proposal increases the teacher salary schedule by $2,000 per cell. That will make us more competitive with our surrounding areas. I think I provided you in your folder somewhere a comparison to us with Spartanburg County, where they are with $1,500 added to theirs. And you can see that we are very competitive for bachelor's degree, 0 years of experience, and then it varies depending where else you look on that scale. That makes our bachelor's degree, 0 years of experience, up from $48,090 to $50,090. So I know that was one of the governor's goals, to try to get starting salaries up to $50,000. This particular budget does that. In addition to the teacher salary schedule, all our other salaries and hourly rates, every salary schedule that we have, we increase those by 5%. So the ones who are on one of those indexes would get their step increase or year increase, and then whatever the increase is in that cell, all right? Salaries and benefits break out this way. For our certified staff, it's $44 million. That's an increase of not quite $1 million from last year. The classified staff is over $15 million. That's an increase of about $321,000 over last year. That's 17% of our budget. All inclusive, our employer retirement contributions for our employees are over $14 million, an increase of almost $200,000 from last year. Our portion of the employees' health insurance is almost $9 million. That's an increase of $109,000 over last year. And our portion, the employer portion of FICA or Social Security or whatever you want to call it, is over $4 million, and that's an increase of over $800,000, almost $900,000. And then workers' compensation is $800,000, and that's the same as it was last year. So all total, those salaries and benefits out of this budget are $87,058,133. So this is a very busy slide, but this slide shows our teacher salary schedule, proposed teacher salary schedule for next year with $2,000 more in each cell. And that kind of takes me to a large overview of the general fund budget. So let's begin with the revenue. Local revenue is projected to be $40,388,470. We work in concert with our folks at the county to make sure those numbers are correct, and the difference would be from what we project next year over this year is about $5 million. From the state, we're projecting $54,700,621, which is about a little over $3 million more than last year. Total transfers, we're projecting at $9,398,665. Last year it was $12 million. That's a difference of $3 million. I don't know about you, but I'd want to know why. So I talked with Ms. Isom about that, and she's going to explain why.
Yeah, what's included in there is what our fund balance. Remember last year we asked to use 4.9 in our fund balance, so that is why that was $12 million last year. This year we're asking for 1.5 to be taken from the fund balance to balance the budget. So that's the difference in between. The rest of that in that line item is indirect cost, and those don't really change much.
And we do not anticipate needing to use that fund balance that we budgeted for this year, right?
Correct.
So the total revenue then would be $104,487,756. It's about $5 million more than last year. On the expenditure side, again, total salaries and benefits total little over $87 million, $87,058,133. Surprisingly, only $710,000 more than last year. Total purchase services are $13,755,989. That's about $2 million more than last year. Ms. Isom, would you speak to that, please?
Sure. The increases in purchase services, the big increases there are utilities. Our utilities compared to last year are going to go up about $300,000 when I did an average for the last 4 years. So that's that increase. We have software in that also in purchase services, and we had to increase that some for the new network security type stuff. That's about $150,000 for that. Your SROs are also included in that, and I always
last thing you said?
Repairs and
the
maintenance.
SROs,
No, after SROs. you said-
Repairs and maintenance.
Software,
Repairs and maintenance.
Repairs and maintenance.
yes,
Okay.
ma'am. Those are your big items that are in there. Of course, your telephone is in there, but that's not big changes. Those are your big changes.
Okay, moving on with expenditures on the next page. Total supplies and materials at $3,197,297, about $1 million more than last year, and most of that is in the instructional department. Total equipment transfers and other objects, about, 50,000 more than last year, 476,337, bringing our total expenditures to 104,487,756. And revenues and expenditures balanced, and the reason that they balance is that we have used about 1.5 million in fund balance to do that. So I can come back to these slides, but let me go ahead and complete the presentation. So let me talk about some areas of concern. We're always concerned about unfunded mandates. One example of that would be increases that the state wants to have for everything from bus drivers to the teacher salary schedule, in which case we don't receive the funding that we need to cover those increases. I will say that I know that there's going to be a lot of discussion about the formulas for how the state funds are being allocated to school districts even this year, particularly the new money. A large portion of the new money went to charter schools this year and not to school districts, and in some cases, instead of an increase in their allocation this year, those school districts lost money from their allocation. So a lot of discussion surrounding that. Teacher and staff recruitment and retention is always a challenge for us, particularly putting together a competitive package for the people who are around us, and mainly in York and Spartanburg. Labor shortages and supply chain constraints are still an issue for us, whether that's getting the materials that we need for maintenance or any other future capital planning, et cetera. Facilities maintenance is always an issue, trying not to defer our needed maintenance. And then finally, fund balance reserves, and I'll talk more about fund balance in just a moment. But protecting our financial stability through that fund balance is always important. So fund balance is basically what our assets are minus our liabilities. And we have that fund balance because we want an appropriate one. It helps us to avoid short-term borrowing, and that helps us to avoid interest costs. It helps us to address any unforeseen expenditure needs that we might have that would come up during the school year. It helps to demonstrate our financial stability and thus lowers our debt issuance costs, mostly from the standpoint of interest rates, et cetera. So our board policy is to try to keep a minimum of 2 months of operating expense. And this budget does utilize a little over 1.5 million of fund balance, but it also helps avoid an 8.6 mil increase to the general fund budget to make that happen. So here's where we are. As of June 30, 2024, the end of the fiscal year, last year, we were $35 million in our fund balance. This year, we've put out of that fund balance, not all of it came in this year, some of it was from the previous year, remember, 2.7 million. Right now, we have earmarked the athletic upgrades to come from that budget, and 12 million is a little more than our guaranteed maximum price, but just for round figures. So that would leave about $20 million. 2 months worth is 16 million, a little over 16 million. So we would have 3.6 million available to balance the budget with, should we go in that direction. Now, that does not take into consideration what we said we were going to plan on if we needed it this year. But all indications are that we're gonna end up in good shape this year. The athletic upgrades that are right now targeted for the fund balance could also come from a different fund source, from capital monies as well, some of which could be the annual bond sale, and some could be other capital funds that you have. So the point I wanted to make here is that a little over $1.5 million will still keep your fund balance at the 2 months where your minimum would be. As far as your operating millage is concerned, again, this is a difficult slide for the audience to read. But we get a letter from the Department of Revenue each year telling us exactly how much millage you can increase within your authority according to Act 388. And this year, your allowable millage is 8.35 mils. That's CPI, or Consumer Price Index, plus growth added together, which was about 4.14%. So that's, you could go up as much as 8.35 mils. If you were, if you needed to, if you had some kind of an issue where you needed to raise more millage than that, there's a provision to look back. And so this year, your look back millage would be 22.6 mils that you could do. So going up 0 this year, you'll move forward that 8.35 plus the 10 mils from 24-25, and then you still had 10 mils left over. So you would be at about 28 mils next year. If you don't go up any this year, 28 mils will be your look back next year. So from the standpoint of being able to keep yourself solvent, to meet your needs, et cetera, I think you're in pretty good shape there. Of course, you hope you don't have to do that at all. So important factors for our taxpayers, you know, we try real hard to hold tax increases to a minimum. And once again this year, I hope that we can do that. We're looking at 0 right now. It's becoming more and more difficult to do that. Various laws that get passed, some of which have to do with parental leave and expanding that and the number of days somebody can be out that we have to have a substitute in the class. So there are all kinds of things that make it more and more difficult. Out of Columbia and out of the federal government, seems like there's something new about every day. There's a demand on what we do. Special education and security are the new normal kinds of things. So we still try to balance the needs of the taxpayer with the growing operational needs of the district in a way that we can be sustainable over time and still able to accomplish our mission. So doing those two things is important to us. Again, a reminder that there was a major shift in funding methodology and the philosophy from the state level. I actually referenced that a while ago, and how they are aligning new dollars. We continue to review every line item for potential savings, and we will actually continue to do that through this budget process and all of next year. Again, we anticipate about a $1.5 million in fund balance, and future budgets, as we talked about a while ago, where you have the capacity for additional millage if you had to have it. But those future budgets might require a realignment of personnel, realigning staffing to enrollment. We will continue to work on that. A millage increase is something that you could consider, and use of fund balance in the future, or a combination of all of those are tools that you have at your disposal. So kind of a budget summary. This budget increases the teacher salary schedule by $2,000. Again, teachers with less than 28 years of experience would get their step increase in addition to that $2,000 increase. All the other salary schedules and hourly wage schedules, et cetera, all of that was increased by 5%. So if those folks qualify, not all of them do, but if all of those folks qualify for a step or a year of experience, then they would get that in addition. It does utilize $1,526,703 in fund balance, but it has no tax increase in the general fund budget for FY '26. And a disclaimer, and we put the disclaimer in our advertisement as well. All of this information is as of today, and the budget numbers are subject to change before the final budget reading planned for May the 12th. And a lot of that depends on information and feedback from you all as a board about what direction you take with the budget that we have recommended here. So I would open it up for questions.
Dr. White, is Elevate included in this budget?
Yes.
We do have some Elevate still in
Okay.
there.
Okay. So can you talk about how many of those teachers or those classes that we still have? And what is what's your position on moving forward as far as if we're able to recruit teachers instead of using that program? I mean, are we looking to phase that out? What does the contract look like? Just kind of give me what you know.
Yeah, so she did put some dollars in there for Elevate for next year. But we have not signed a contract for Elevate for next year. Our plan is to not use them for any of our classes.
Great. Awesome.
How many are currently in use, approximately?
Oh, mercy. I'd say a dozen plus, yeah.
So they will require recruiting at least a dozen plus new teachers.
Possibly. We may have teachers on staff now
Right,
that we can roll into those positions. That's where we will look first.
okay.
I have a question. What about limestone? Has this got anything?
The only relationship that it might have to limestone would be, we have personnel who are part of the Scholars Academy program, and they are in this budget. And the money that we had budgeted for facilities there is still in this budget. That doesn't necessarily mean that we would be there. We have some contingency plans for that. But it's still in there.
Dr. White, the yearly bonus that we normally give around December, is that included or is that not included in here?
There's not a specific line item for that right now, but what we were able to do last year was track our expenses against revenue, and we're able to make some projections to be able to do that. And I'm optimistic that we would be able to do that, but I wouldn't know an amount right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. White, are we concerned that the state will take back some of our funding since they're putting more to charter schools?
Not right now. I think this is just an opinion based on,
Yeah.
the meetings that I've been to in Columbia and looking at revenue projections, et cetera. Unless there's some kind of nationwide turn down in the economy that results in a severe recession, I don't think that will happen in this coming year. But if it does, you have a fund balance that will help you sustain that. Or survive it.
Now, the large differences here of the, on the slide that had the state budget update with the state health plan and the school resource officers, because it go from like 3 million all the way up to 29 million. I mean, that's a huge difference. How, would that affect us one way or the other?
No, the impact on us would be de minimis. You take, for
Okay.
example, the health part of it.
Right.
That's the issue there is whether or not the employee will have to pick up additional costs.
Okay,
And we already have resource officers in all of our schools.
good,
So we
great.
should help us.
That's a good thing. Great job, Dr. White. Great job.
Well, it's a team effort, and you all are part of that team. Couldn't do it without you and your input. And I want to kudos to all of our principals, all of our staff, and to the finance department, HR. Everybody's involved.
And so just to be clear, all staff, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, maintenance, I call them environmental services, some people call them janitor, all of them will receive a 5% increase.
That's correct.
Okay,
That's what's in this budget.
all right.
If there are any other questions, it's our recommendation that you approve the 25-26 budget first reading.
I'll make a motion that we approve the first reading for the 25-26 budget.
Thank you, Mr. Cash.
I'll second.
Second, Ms. Coleman. Any other discussion? All those in favor? The first reading of the budget is approved. Now, our interim superintendent's report.
Okay. So student services is off the hook and finance is off the hook tonight, but Dr. Dukes is off the hook. I will say on Dr. Dukes' behalf that they have completed the mathematics curriculum maps, and there were 16 teachers involved in putting all that together. If we have not sent that to you already, we will. It's similar to the ones you saw with English Language Arts, where you can click at the bottom,
Yep.
and then it has that spreadsheet up there and everything with all the times. Okay, so you're familiar with that. Dr. Smith.
Yes, sir. Today I ran a report around 4 o'clock for contracts to see how many we've had accepted. So right now it's 411 out of 584, which is roughly 71%. I did email all the principals and executive directors, those people that have not signed their contract. So there's 12 days remaining. They have to sign before May the 11th, which again is May the 10th, right at midnight for that. But, I don't know how that's been in years past, but 71% right now with 12 more days remaining. I think we're going to be okay there. We will post all of our certified working retiree jobs this week, okay? We're a critical needs district, and that allows us to hire working retirees with the exemption, the $10,000 exemption. So in order to do that, we have to complete an assurance form, okay, on each of these employees. Now, I don't get too much in the woods or weeds or whatever, but if you retired before 2013, or if you retired at 62, you don't have to fill an assurance form out for that employee, okay? But we would still post their job because they are working retiree. But on that assurance form, we have to, one, make sure that we follow school board hiring practices, all right? Two, non-retired member, if available, was considered for the positions. That means we're interviewing people. And three, the retired educator considered for the position was the best qualified applicant. And no qualified non-retired member was available. So, I'm certified in 13 things in social studies, but I don't feel that I'm qualified in all of those, okay? So that's the difference between being certified and qualified. So we're gonna follow the law there, and we'll post all those positions. I will email all those individuals in the morning and let them know what we're gonna do, and then we'll post those jobs, and then we'll see what we have, with applicants, and then we'll go from there. But I'll have to sign off on this. We're gonna make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do.
Is this certified and classified, or just certified?
Certified.
Just certified,
Yeah.
okay. So classified, if you've got a working,
No, yeah, but
Retired,
the
classified.
exemption would still, the 10,000 would still hit
Right,
them,
okay.
and then
I know we did this at one time. Is this something new or just?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Did we do it last year?
I'm not aware that that was done. Being a principal, I didn't have any working retirees last year. I did the year before a couple of times, and I didn't interview for that position.
Okay.
We did this at one time, so I just.
It's probably just been a
We're,
while.
yeah, we're
we're
following the law,
Following the
and
law.
when we email them, we'll let them know how much we appreciate them,
Absolutely.
Right.
and that we're doing what we're supposed to do in this process.
That's all.
All right.
Now, I know you say you're emailing them, but have you had these type, personable conversations as well?
We've spoken to some of the principals
Okay.
in our meetings, yeah, so they kind of got the word out. I mean,
Okay.
We have 44 working retiring certified teachers in the district that'd be a part of this, so. Again, and you have some of them that have went through this.
Okay,
There's gonna be those that retired the last few years that have not, so we don't want to scare anyone.
Right.
right. That's why I say, sometimes an email is not as personal as just having a conversation, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
and in that email, I'll put out there, I'll talk to anybody, or they can call, or I'll go see them, or, we'll make sure.
Okay,
But again, the main thing, they have to understand that this is the law.
Right.
We must follow it.
okay.
I did want to mention, Mr. Greer, to your point earlier, talking about the budget, we are tracking the developments at Limestone University, trying to pay attention to that, and we'll stay in touch with them. You have a new calendar of events in your packet. I think we highlighted a couple of things that were added since the last one that you got, and that'll happen about every week. Our next board meeting is scheduled for Monday, May the 12th. I have no idea what that's for. Monday, May the 12th, and right now, we're thinking we may have a Budget and Personnel Committee meeting on May the 1st at 4 p.m. We're trying to schedule a Maintenance, Property, and Grounds Committee meeting. It's kind of related to capital, so we're working on that. And y'all graduation's gonna sneak up on us. We'll be leaving from here at the district office, I think it's around 4:45-ish, to make sure we get to Blacksburg on time. And then we'll bus back here to Gaffney. We've done that every year, so. That's my report.
We'll have the public hearing also.
I'm sorry, yeah. Monday, the 12th at 5:30 is the public hearing for the budget, yes. Thank you. And I do request an executive session for the item stated on the agenda.
Now entertain a motion for executive session.
I make a motion, we enter into an executive session for personnel matters, for the purpose of discussing the employment, discipline, or release of an employee or employees of the district, property matters, and student discipline.
Thank you, Ms. Gorman.
I'll second it.
Second, Mr. Greer. All those in favor? That's unanimous. We are now in executive session. Ms. Duckett, can I see you a second, please?
Second.
Second, Mr. Cash. All those in favor? That's unanimous. We are now in open session. Do we have any actions from executive session?
Ms. Chair, I move that we conditionally accept the superintendent's recommendation that the contract of the one annual contract employee number 7 not be renewed for the 2025-26 school year, subject to the employee's appeal rights pursuant to section 592640 of the South Carolina Code of Laws.
Motion, Mr. Wilkins.
Second?
Second, Ms. Gallman. Any discussion? All those in favor? That is unanimous. At this time, I ask for a motion for the personnel recommendations presented by our superintendent.
I make a motion we approve the superintendent's personnel recommendation.
Motion, Ms. Gallman.
Second.
Second, Mr. Wilkins. All those in sorry. At this time, do we have any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Those recommendations are approved. Any announcements for any of our board members? Any announcements or anything good going on that you would like to share, Mr. Cash?
Not at this time, no.
Mr. Greer?
Softball field work at Blacksburg started, and everything's been going good so far, and they've not run into no problems as of yet.
That's great. Great news. Mr. Matt B?
I'm good, thank you though.
Ms. Shackelford?
I just want to commend Dr. White, the finance staff, the other leaders of our districts who really gave comprehensive information so that we were able to you all were able to pull together really, from what I can remember, the smoothest budget on first reading. Could be changes for second, understanding that, but a lot of work goes into that budget, so that's much appreciated. And I know our taxpayers do as well, so kudos to you all.
Ms. Garvin?
I agree with that, what Ms. Shackelford said, and in a timely manner too, it was just very quickly, timely. I'll just say a couple of things. Spring Fling this past weekend at I Square was great. Great turnout, beautiful day. I was worried about the rain, but it was a beautiful day. And then a couple weeks ago, was able to go to Blacksburg High School to senior interviews. That was just so thrilling. I love getting back and being around the students, and it was a great opportunity, great experience for me as well as I think it was for the kids too.
Absolutely. Ms. Shippey? I don't have anything. Mr. Wilkins?
I'm good.
Okay. Dr. White, anything else from you?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. So with that, our next meeting again is on May the 12th, right? Again, we do thank our leadership, our administration for a job just so well done. I think the district is on the move, and I think we're headed in a positive direction, so just looking forward to what's ahead and what's to come, and finishing it up this school year with a blast. Our students are achieving and doing much better, and we're so very proud of the accomplishments that we're making as a district. So with that being said, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion, Ms. Shackelford.
Second?
Second, Ms. Gallman. We stand adjourned.